Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be around the world. Today na today na Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. We are glad to be back. And today, as you know, generally, na me, Mr. Mengot, and occasionally Mr. Jamboria, now we can make a presentation jointly. Unfortunately, Mr. Jamburia and Mr. Mangot are not going to be present today because of conflicting obligations on their part. So I'm going to be making the presentation today, but the presentation is going to be just an hour long. We're trying not to go beyond that, but the presentation is not going to be that long. It's going to be for at the most 1 hour. It may spill over a little bit, but not that much. All right. So before I get to the topic, of course, when we're familiar with the show, when I know my name, my name is Mohammed Shilon, coming from the United States of America. All right. Of course, my co-host, Mr. Mengot, we tap now. Sorry, England, it's not going to be here. And then Mr. Jamboria, we tap now. Norway, it's not going to be on board today. So we'll wait for disappointment that Mr. Shilon will end up boring una for an hour, but let's hang in there with each other, okay? All right, today we'll get some topics that we want to deal with. Before we get into that, let me go with the contact number there. We can always tell we callers them. The number is a way for call we and reach we in case they get comments or suggestions. And then I also want to make clear to Una for say, feel free, the lines will be open right from the beginning because of the short time the program will take. So you're not going to wait. We'll try not to keep anybody or too many people in waiting. So, but the lines will be open as soon as I give this my preamble here, or the monologue where I talk about now, as soon as I say that, then we'll go move forward. Now, when I know say, if you're in North America and you want for call in, because this is a live show, let me always remind people in two. The one when I work in the watch, without use for watch we, when I know say in a live show. When I we no use for watch we, I want for let when I know say this show is live, so you are free to call in. So I'm about to give one the number for make suggestions, for make objections, for ask questions, and that we may not answer instantly when you ask the question. And because it will be discretionary and we part whether the question is worth answering at the time you ask them or later before we go off the air. But feel free. So whatever question you ask, it will be heard by everybody else who they listen the show. So it's a live show. So, and it's an interactive show. Now, if you call from North America, where for purposes of this show, now Mexico, Canada, and the United States, we'll get a toll-free number. And we all know which is a toll-free number will not cost you if you want to call. That number then is 1-866-944-7722. 1-866-944-7722. If you're in England, you want to call, we'll get a number there. We're not call and toll free, but you say free calling number when a plus 44 2080891455. Plus 44 2080891455. Likewise, if you call from Australia, you can call now plus 61 2909843337 plus 61 2909843337. That's if you're calling from Australia. Also, we'll get the universal number, the WhatsApp number, where regardless of whose part in the world you're there, as long as you get Wi-Fi connection somehow, you will be able to reach we. That WhatsApp number now 1-343-997-5828. 1-343-997-5828. In addition to that, we also get a radio station in Freetown. You can reach we. That radio station, if you're in North America or if you're in America, Mexico, Canada, the number actually in Freetown 91.9 FM. 91.9 FM. However, if you live in America, you go dial a 91.9 FM on the radio, you now go get VOS radio. You will get for you to be able to access that, you get to use the VOS mobile app. And forget the VOS mobile app, you get for go to Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, download the app for be able for reach we radio by radio. So just not dial 91.9 FM. It will not give you the Freetown 91.9 FM. So in addition to that, we get other sources then where you will be able to see we, because VOS television broadcasting gets several platforms where they carry we. You get YouTube, you can go on VOS television. You get Facebook, likewise VOS television. You get X, where formerly it used to be called Twitter, again VOS television. You get VOS television websites. If you want to go on a website, like for instance, you want to look at your computer or your iPad or even your telephone, you can go now vostelevision.com, www.vostelevision.com. Then if you want to listen to them, otherwise, if you want to listen to the radio on the site also, you can go to vosradio.com. Then of course the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store, as I mentioned, go to VOS Television. Then last but not least, if you go to Twitch TV, again VOS Television, you'll be able to reach we. In addition to that, I also want to just give this announcement that VOS gets a program where we announce every weekend on our show. I'm sure on the other shows then where VOS get. We're in the VOS non-profit philanthropic thing, we call it VOS Diaspora Scholarship Program. The VOS Diaspora Scholarship Program. That VOS Diaspora, no, it's vosdiaspora.org. You can go into VOS diaspora.org and you will be able to reach the scholarship program. And the scholarship program, now for less fortunate children, them, we get the talent, we get the we're bright, but they not get the financial wherewithal for continue their education. Now school, and I think even in college. So when they try to raise money for them, so I know amount is too small. If I can send an in at the vosdiaspora.org website, then when I can able for reach we and for send you money, and you can do them to the point of saying, okay, I send $20, they send $10, they send $100, but I want to let them buy books. You can give we then kind of condition in there, or now for let them buy supplies. We're going to include pens, or for the for pay school fee. Now for the school fees of the recipients them of them this funding would then go get through this scholarship program. So when I can do all of that. Now, having said that, to keep on moving, I want now to know what today's topic could be. or the topics. The topics today will be a variety of things there, but the main topic is going to be we'll try to highlight the drug trafficking crisis, because it's reached a point where it's becoming a crisis in the sense that the frequency is too often. It happens too frequently for it to just be just a regular, which Sierra Leone name is being linked to drug trafficking. Not so like where will we get the other incident, or the drug will be the devastate young people and people of middle age in the country. But this is now trafficking, a major point of getting drugs for ship beyond the borders of Sierra Leone. And Sierra Leone now has become infamous. Not famous, infamous for that. Because when you when you become popular for things where negative, when are bad, not too famous, you're famous, you don't become infamous. So Sierra Leone now is becoming well known in the region and even in Africa, maybe in the world, for being a major trafficking spot with respect to the global movement of illegal drug trafficking, you know? So now it does reach that point today where it's really becoming a crisis. Okay, then now also the main topic we will want to talk about today, what me, Mr. Mengot, and Mr. Jamburia will have touched on. Now this issue about the same thing, transparency, managing our borders, because Sierra Leone National Revenue Authority recently met with their counterpart in Liberia. The Sierra Leone National Revenue Authority recently met their counterpart in Liberia to address issues relating to joint border management to enhance revenue protection. But revenue protection alone should not be the main purpose, not the sole purpose of dealing with border management. Because we get recent trends in the social media where they also point out about drug trafficking, you know, between the two borders and among the three countries, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea. But it's more prevalent, it's more common between Sierra Leone and Liberia. So the question becomes, how safe is our border? Or our borders, you know, where you increase the next country, Guinea. So there are certain things where you call the ECOWAS protocol on joint border management. The need for ratification of the protocol, you know, the treaty where the country didn't sign and when the border, that meeting day, that treaty day is very important because besides drugs, it also tries to get a hand on terrorism. It also gets for control disease, for limit disease. You know, if something become epidemic in one country, how will the control border where then they gonna go come and become prevalent in a way on country? I will give some examples of them. Then, you know, and then smuggling, you know, child trafficking. So there are so many things about this border, this joint thing. Then I don't know how many of you are aware of a town called Yenga, where they on the Sierra Leone side, okay? But yet Guinea claims sovereignty over Yenga, where they now we on side. And this dispute though exists from President Kabain term, even before. Then you get an Eskoroma, then now you get the BO government, but they still haven't had a handle on it. So some of the treaties here between the ECOWAS country there will make a huge difference in terms of how we secure the border, what for prevent against diseases, against crimes such as drug trafficking, child trafficking, and so on. If we remember, a long time ago, we end up with Ebola because Ebola start off na Guinea before it came to Sierra Leone. If you remember the war, where we end up with start off na Liberia. And then we end up in Sierra Leone. So we get it's important, it's in the best interest of the region, it's in the best interest of we country that we governments, this government as well as succeeding governments, get a hold or a hand. It's in the best interest for them to get a treaty concerning border management among the country. Unfortunately, in my own view, the two countries are talking about the National Revenue Authority. They are concerned only about revenues, which, of course, then they lost a lot of money. But you see, the loss of revenue can be easily achieved if we get a hold or control over the causes. Some of them will just name. So talking about drugs, let's start off with drugs. And recently, Liberia, they intercept on March 17, on or about March 17, just recently. They intercept a vehicle that had drugs in Liberia, na Lofa County, na Foya District, Lofa County, of over $77,000 US worth, mostly marijuana, Giamba, where they found na Lofa County, but they found them because the vehicle came through Sierra Leone. The vehicle successfully go through the checkpoints in Sierra Leone. But according to the article, so there was a tip, because most times now so then they catch drug and trafficking. You will get tips. So this, and then traffickers here, they were able to go through the checkpoints in Australia successfully. But when they reached Lofa County, now Foya District, then they realized, say, they stop them and search them. Then they found a certain amount of, then found 772 plates of high-grade marijuana, worth around $77,200 from Sierra Leone. Then they also found tramadol and related drugs them. Of course, they claim say the name of the driver is someone by the name of I not get the name quite handy, but the guy, he named Fahia Lami. Yeah, so Fahia Lami was the guy who was caught with anything here. He had driven from Sierra Leone to part of Liberia and was intercepted in this county. Okay, so I would like the control room for just show we'll get a video to that effect, but then show the packaging, the picture of the packaging, and then some of the activities. So control room, please just play them for you.
Profile drugs. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The source, as we got from the suspect, that they are for sodium. The drugs is directly for sodium.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we'll be waiting the arrival of the counter attorney who will provide us details. The drugs is already confiscated.
The plate of the drugs here is 772. And this is the very first time to see a show of some drugs in Lofa County. So, see all kinds of initials are on it. So this tell you that is a joint project to see how that they can be able to carry this drugs.
No problem.
Too many
We used to hear this
are
very
there.
detrimental to the growth of this country. Owing to the
And
fact that too many young people
the
are
drugs were placed in
the police
Doma bags. They use the slippers, they place the drugs in the middle, and they cover it with those slippers. So they are also down there. How they manage to pass through the border, acting as a slipper they were bringing into our country, especially our country, local country. And this is part of our commitment. We continue to promise that we're going to make sure we're going to fight crime to reduce crime in local country. And this is our achievable.
So
Some of our achievement are visible that you're seeing here. So, I mean, the joint security will continue to work now, both day and night.
So I'm like asking you, yesterday the drug was arrested. So I mean, you kept the drugs until this morning, you brought it, or this hour to be here at the police station?
The drugs were arrested in the evening.
In the evening?
Yeah, and
Okay, we don't get a glimpse of the drug, the place of interception, and some of the officials are waiting and get for tailway. Now, if you wanna follow this again, when we start to get one will get for give credit to the post, we intercept them, but we also get for do some critical analysis of the lax manner in which when these drugs are intercepted, we'll get what you call chain of possession, dominion, and control. So when such large quantity of drugs has seized, we get for begin for wonder how was the chain of custody, you call them chain of custody, meaning from the moment we then seize them, how has it been kept second by second up until this point when these photographs were being taken and then the world was being told as to what had been found. Because if you know, because that also is very important. Because human beings being what we are, there is a tendency, even police officers themselves can be easily tempted for take part of that drug there and sell them into the black market. So the government then get a responsibility for get a strict chain of custody protocol. When drugs are found, how will they check, how will they keep them, how will they cross-check them, so nothing is missing, nothing is replaced. Let you not take a bag of marijuana, you replace it with a bag of sand or a bag of ordinary leaves. All incidents are important because if you just say, would seize 100 bags, well, those 100 bags, unless you want to check them painstakingly and keep them in strict custody, those 100 bags of marijuana can become 100 bags of just plain leaves, replaced by them plain leaves there, now the actual thing wouldn't seize. So we get for really, if governments are serious about really trying to bring this drug trafficking, which seems to be getting bigger and bigger, more consistent, more regular, if governments, the respective governments of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, if they are serious about this, then get for really come up with some rules. This is where the people in way, now the policy makers, the bookman them, the one who land their book. This is what the country need for. We need expert, not to somebody no more we just get a big degree. That is not going to do it. This takes specialization. It takes some kind of knowledge. You got to be a specialist in investigatory tactics, the procedures, all the investigative procedures and the techniques, and all of that. You get to put the right people in there. Not just because somebody get a degree, you get for just get the job. You get for get the skills, how for intercept, how for maintain control over whatever the contraband that is seized. So I'm simply saying, such interception get for be properly controlled. Now, I am told that Sierra Leone has not signed the ECOWAS protocol with respect to that kind by treaty. For what reason, we don't know, but you would think it's a matter of urgency that we engage in the signing of such a treaty, forget the two governments and for work. But it's not enough to just get the two governments. Oh, no, in fact, in this instance, there are three governments, the Guinean government, the Sierra Leone government, because we'll get a border with them, with Guinea, and the Liberian government. So this is something that should be on at the top of the list of priority if we want to control the border. Because if you don't control that, so when then they try for meat, just the revenue department has to have for control revenue, and that's it. Well, revenue, very little is going to be realized. Very little is going to be realized unless and until we realize, say, you go get revenue. Revenue will be the result, the intended result, or part of the intended result of the intent where we put into effect policy we will control all these things in there. So it will be more than revenue. Like I say, again, let's remember, the whole idea about the National Revenue Authority meeting with a counterpart, I don't think that the only ministry this will for meet with a counterpart, Liberia. I think the Foreign Service, the Foreign External Affairs Ministry for be part of this type of border discussion, because the Foreign Affairs Ministry, they are just as important as the National Revenue Authority. Because like I say, let us not forget, when securing the border will prevent terrorism. Securing the border go prevent a cross-border kind of epidemic like Ebola. Securing the border go also prevent us from going into war or letting war or unrest spilling over to the country. Any unrest in Guinea, any unrest in Sierra Leone, if the border is well controlled, all sides will be able to contain where it started and not to be able to spread in the region, as we, by experience, have found out with Ebola, with the war, and then, and with Ebola, we see how destructive it was. Ebola not start with but we see how many people died. In fact, the statistics what we keep back home, we don't even know how accurate it is, in the sense that when Ebola does not reach Freetown, it just not jump all the other town them, it reach Kenema, it just not jump and reach Bo, because you get border cities, border towns and counties and villages. So we don't know how many of them people in there before Ebola begin touch down in Kenema, or even in Kailan city or town itself. How many people may have died as a result of Ebola? Way we don't know about. Because it becomes more pronounced or more known when people them, particularly respectable people them, doctors and people that were major cities like Kenema, Bowes, Freetown, begin to die as a result of then coming in contact with Ebola. And I tell you, we rarely think we take them serious for say, but if we don't contain them, if we don't prevent them from entering, if we get good rules, enforcement intact, with solid agreements among the three countries, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea, we're going to be able to prevent future disaster or crisis. Let me also remind we audience again, the lines are open. Please feel free to call if you want, if you have any question or anything to add. Now, Sierra Leone become famous for this issue about drugs because we see also where someone working at the embassy, a diplomat, we all know about that big scandal there, where eventually it seems like in a quiet fashion, that diplomat there supposedly has been fired. Okay? So, and again, people are not stupid. When anything happens, the barometer engaging how serious the government take the issue, now the kind of punishment meted out, or the kind of sweetness with which we on government react. So the diplomat with the Guinean situation, we know say eventually we hear say the president sack him. But we're not hearing anything beyond that. So there is no price to pay when you engage in such extravagant, lofty, daring kind of move, because nobody sells. Well, government not for they in the business of selling drugs, so we don't go assume say that diplomat day now for the government if they go sell the drugs. So it's not supposed to be one of the things in the national interest or the exports, but it happened. It was undisputed. So now we get then before we know that one day, we get other incidents then of strange planes landing at our airport in the middle of the night without the standard or regular green lights or so for permit landing at Lungi Airport, but we don't see that happen. Then look at the way these things are being solved. So like the Lungi Airport incident where happened several months ago, the strange plane came, a land. First thing we were told and said nothing was found. True or not, we don't know. Unless they came to pick up. If they don't come for pick up, then come for deliver. These people were in violation of our airspace. They were in violation of our aviation laws. They were in violation of all kind of law, immigration laws. They were detained briefly. Next thing you know, they said they pay $100,000. That's what was said. There is no confirmation of that. And the people were released and they were allowed to leave the country. So people are out there watching how government react to this thing. So some of the rumors that we can hear, we blame the people and we reach conclusion, whether true or not. Because if we see an aggressive, affirmative action on the part of a government, if we see some kind of anger on the part of the government, we will not say, well, not only government will get anything to do with this, but government they try to do something about it. But when we hear it here and we know it's a fact because they are reported by reliable sources, then next thing we know, government come. Well, most times we're not hearing anything from government. Then when we hear anything is that the person though left. The person has been released. The person paid $100,000. To whom? To what ministry? What was the purpose? Why wasn't the person charged with the crime? What wasn't the person accorded, or the persons accorded due process? Why didn't they come to court? Why was there no transparency in the matter? So you just can't think the people are generally that stupid, that people don't get no sense of analysis, they don't get no common sense. Then you can't force the people and say they're not for belief. Say government is playing some kind of government, there are some invisible hands. With the government hands, and they play the card under the table, and then that they are enablers. So as we all know, right now we get a serious situation about this gentleman who is supposedly to be a drug kingpin within in hiding in Sierra Leone. So it's not speculation anymore. By the government's own reaction, we've watched some video exchanges, the AYV, where it seems for confirm that that gentleman is indeed in Sierra Leone, even though there has been no admission on the part of the government. But by the government's action, it's reasonable to assume that he's there. It's reasonable to assume that he's having top-notch protection. Why? Because the government of in country did send an extradition request for hand over to in country. You know, then what happened? We on country in turn decide say, for we for do anything, there is a gentleman also in the Netherlands somewhere, when a Sierra Leonean, who the government consider to be a thorn, what we call chuk chuk, on the inside. Then want that gentleman they for be sent to Sierra Leone for face justice. Well, I'm not so much an admirer of that phrase there. When a lot of countries say they want somebody for come face justice, it's just a phrase. Because the reality is you want the person for come face injustice. You know, because it's already a pre-packaged, a predestined outcome if it can. So, and then I cannot see how we go even try to equate a drug trafficker who is seek refuge or harbor in our country for be compared to someone who's in another country saying disrespectful things that all people do not whether not like, that for almost like a prisoner exchange, but not quite. That when I say one Putin, because what would be the legal basis for we for want someone like that to be sent to Sierra Leone for what? Just to punish him, to just teach him a lesson that he's being disrespectful, you know, because that's what it sounds like. Because the gentleman who we know of, waiting at the Netherlands, by all means, the Sierra Leonean, I mean, you can say in way of talking is distasteful. You can say in way of talking is disrespectful. You know, none of which we any one of which go agree with or go condone. You know, and the vulgarity of sometimes, or the vulgar content of the messages, them, they are distasteful. But having said that, I always say to we people, them, we get to decide. We, the supporters, them, not to the one that wouldn't have power. The one that wouldn't have power, this is the nature of the beast, in the sense that they will resent anybody where they try to expose them. They will resent anyone who use what you then consider to be distasteful, disrespectful remarks or statement about them. In fact, we see recently in Sierra Leone, when just a reporter who was doing his job in parliament just simply referred to parliamentarians them about not doing their job, he was banned. Because what he say, the speaker not like that. So then you ask yourself, well, what's the purpose of free speech? Do we really understand the perimeters or the level of free speech? Or we just copy constitution, we put under, but we not believe for comply with them, for go along with them. Because free speech is not so much, I've always said people that need to understand the basic concept of a constitution of a country. The concept is pretty simple, very simple. It's not so much trying to protect what in the majority them feel. The real test is when you accord or extend what you will call due process or fair application of the law to a person where you not like, we're not there on your side, we're not share your political view. It's how well you protect them. It's built on the same principle of the presumption of innocence in criminal law. We own system, that of the Magna Carta. Okay? We say you are presumed to be innocent until you're proven guilty. Okay, so even if there is an appearance of guilt, that's why the system, what we get in a salon, the system we get in America, one of the common law systems say every defendant, regardless, should be accorded the presumption of innocence until you're proven guilty. Like somebody sit down and see you. I can give you a very popular case where it takes place in Australia, where maybe in this day and age, if that case they were to happen again, I don't think so you could get the same level of acceptance in terms of the true meaning of the phrase presumption of innocence. Okay? Now, I go back to the case of Kurubali. Mr. Kurubali was a diamond dealer, I think in Bamakonta, Kenema district. The story goes that in parents, they come from Gambia. Bamakonta, anybody who knows anything about Bamakonta is a diamond area in Kenema district. So Mr. Kurubali was a diamond dealer. Now, and people need to know the old system, because this is we get some interesting history in our country there. There was a time in Sierra Leone when there were certain people who were engaged in certain practices of trying to deport notable, reputable people in Sierra Leone by passing the legal system. In fact, we never get a system whereby the court played any role. There was no due process. The president by himself alone can just decide, say, he wants to deport anybody in the country, and he just he can just issue a decree or an order, and you sign them. They execute that order there in terms of presenting to you. You're gone from out of the country, no matter how long you've been there. There were no due process of law, because we never get what you call a constitution we'll get now. We never get constitutional protection. So it was basically the president was above the law. Then decrees, and they could not have been challenged by anyone, by the courts, or by even, we never get what you call civil rights protectors, So we never get any of them in there. So there was a time in Sierra Leone in the 60s, it had become commonplace, whereby you go tell the prime minister, because when a prime minister will be get until after the 1967 election. So the prime minister will get the authority for just deport anybody when he wants, how he wants, that kind of thing. So people, certain group of people, top people had engaged or had come around. They were putting people in. So if they want to deport if the prime minister deport Mr. X, on the same sheet of paper after the prime minister does sign, the ministry where they're in charge of the deportation can go and put 2-3 other people and name there, or use them for blackmail any other people that will get money and say, hey, you're there on the list too. Then say you for left the country in 20, and then we begin this practice. Because now, we were young, we were growing up, so we'll not be getting no concept of due process. Because if someone has come into a country, like a lot of we were there abroad now, we don't know other people in the country. Imagine if they tell any one of you Say if you left America, Australia, Canada, any country, England, in 24 hours. What can you do in 24 hours in a country where you don't live for years and years and years? But that's what we used to do. People were ordered to leave the country in 24 hours. You're gone. If you get businesses, if you get employees, if you get family, you are supposed to take care of all of that in 24 hours. Then the major question is, when does the 24 hours begin? When does it begin? So if they can't arrest you or can't execute that warrant there on you for your arrest, 8 o'clock the night, till 8 o'clock daylight, you talk about 12 hours already gone. 12 hours already gone. So not the 24 hours you get by daylight now, you get less than 12 hours. Forget out of the country. 12 hours not even enough for you to arrange a legitimate traveling ticket to exit the country. But this is how terrible we used to be. So you had people who were doing this kind of thing. So Mr. Kurubale, going back to his case, there was an incident between Kurubale and a top-notch police officer, that somebody at the rank of superintendent at that level did. So Mr. Kurubale, the police then go to Bamakonta, then arrest him. He say, waiting for, they say, we don't know, we'll get a warrant for your arrest, for take you go to Pademba Road na Freetown from Bamakonta. So, well, he say, what you do? Then say, well, we don't know, we just follow orders. Mr. Kurubale was taken to Pademba Road prison. He was detained. In the midst of that, every diamond dealer, now any part in Sierra Leone, always know certain people and where if be close to the district officer, the provincial officer, the chief of the place where all the powerful people and the chief in the town, the speaker of the town. Then people and they always get to know you. You can always get to know them. So, but nobody can give Mr. Kurubale an answer why he was being taken to Freetown. Why was he being deported? And of all things, he was being deported to Gambia. Mr. Kurubale keeps saying, me not to Gambian, me papa na Gambian. Me papa, yeah, not true, but not you want to deport na me not to Gambian, na me country this, na I born. Then say, well, we don't care, we're going to deport you to Gambia anyway. So eventually, and those were the days when deportation not to be by air. Air travel wasn't as popular as it is now. We began starting cruise line them or shipping line them, like Ella Dempster, I think Oriel. So then ship them, they come every now and then ship them, they put you on board for travel, for go back out of the country. In the meantime, Mr. Kurubale, being held in Freetown, Pademba Road Prison, in business just stopped abruptly. He had family, he had multiple wives, I don't know how many children he had, got in church with a chief police officer who was once the OC Nakenama district. He asked him, say, you got to do something for me. I need to know what you do. Help me, help me, help me, help me. This police officer supposedly, I don't want to name him, but just for his family's sake, for respect to his family, he assured Mr. Kurubale, say, don't worry, I will take care of things. But he not take care of things. After Mr. Kurubale has been held for a while, then eventually what happened, then the ship come, then decide for load Mr. Kurubale in a ship for send and go Gambia, where he claimed he was not from. But without due process, without the constitution, there was nothing in the law that protected this man. And no lawyers then were not exposed to challenge such authority in court. The court, they never even get a jurisdiction for entertain any such action or complaints. So Mr. Kurubale was at the mercy of just people that will get contact with the prime minister, with this and that. But it turned out that this was Mr. Coulibaly, the deportation order. The prime minister had nothing to do with it. If someone were add a name to a list of deportees or a single deportee. So when this police officer and Mr. Coulibaly tried to get in touch with them over and over and over, eventually keep assuring us. So the time came in broad daylight, like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then take Mr. Coulibaly, handcuff, take and go na the key for put on board the ship. Then take the handcuff off in hand, and lo and behold, who did he see? This police officer whom he had known in Bamakonta for years, who would be supposed to be in protector. He was there, standing there, to make sure that Mr. Coulibaly was put on the ship. So as then they pushed Mr. Coulibaly towards the ship, he see this man, he said, "Bo, after all this promise, you look me, then they take me out of this country, and they tell you I'm innocent." So then this police officer ordered something, "No, take and go inside the ship, let clear out." So Mr. Coulibaly lost it. And as bad luck will have it, there was a metal on the ground just nearby. Mr. Coulibaly reached for that metal in at the ground, attacked this police officer in the presence of so many people, and beat him to death with a crowbar or whatever bar he had, but a metal. He pounded him over and over and over and killed him. So there were witnesses, but I'm getting to the presumption of innocence. Okay? So there were eyewitnesses. They saw what he did. He was arrested. He was assaulted because that was an unusual crime, killing a police officer in broad daylight in the presence of people them. And this man supposedly was a foreigner, so people didn't take it too well. So, of course, naturally, they're not put on board the ship. They arrest him and take him back in a prison because they charge him with murder. Then claim say don't murder this police officer. This is where the law gets to be beautiful. Okay? Now, to commit murder, there are certain elements you get from it. Elements meaning certain proof the prosecution, the state get from it. So even though there were eyewitnesses who saw what happened, eyewitnesses like other police officers and other key port authority employees, and we see what happened. When Mr. Coulibaly was charged with murder, first problem Mr. Coulibaly ran into, no lawyer in Sierra Leone wanted to defend him because they thought his behavior was abominable. You don't come to our country, according to presumption, and kill one of your top officers then, and think any of we could represent you. So they were trying to get Mr. Coulibaly, a lawyer from England, where the lawyer that has always been the hero, T.S. Johnson, happened to be in court when Mr. Coulibaly was brought in for like first appearance without a lawyer. And the government was having difficulty for finding a lawyer for him because they get for trial for murder. Well, come Mr. Coulibaly at that time, certain people say he didn't care. He said, in fact, he wanted to be killed so he can die and go back up and meet this police officer and kill him again. He was that angry. Say, "When I kill me, because if you wanna kill me, I'm going to meet him. They make I kill him again." So that's how angry he was at this officer who had promised to help him, the officer not do that. So it became a big thing. Then T.S. Johnson in court got up and said, "Look, Your Honor or my Lord, you will not get for pen lawyer all the way in England. We got capable lawyer than I am. I will represent this man. The man will kill a Creole, me a Creole. This man is a foreigner. Not to me point down there. My point is, as lawyer, we take an oath to justice. Me calling now for represent the less fortunate, the helpless, and the poor. So the government don't need for waste money, and lawyer from England, I will represent him. So Justice C.O.E. Cole appointed T.S. Johnson, the lawyer for represent Mr. Kurubali. And for una when a younger lawyers them, una need to go back and read the case of the state versus Kurubali. If una want to see a good display of legal defense in criminal defense, any young lawyer in Australia for read that case there. What a masterpiece defense T.S. Johnson came up with. And those were the days when the courts were free. There were no political influence. Judges would go by the law mostly. So, and Mr. T.S. Johnson, and when we were young, those were the lawyers who see in a courtroom who want to be like, because they were fighters. They're not going to court, they're not to mix up matters, then go there for represent whoever. And then the primary responsibility was to the clients, even at the risk of their own profession with the court and the judge. So T.S. Johnson put a vigorous defense on behalf of Mr. Kurubali. At the end of the day, when the dust settled down, Kurubali was found guilty of manslaughter, not murder, which was an extraordinary defense. Because one is saving life, because Mr. Kurubali will have received death penalty. So he avoided the gallows, who then can say. Number two, he only received a maximum sentence of 10 years. So which means he will have served no more than about 7 to 8 years, then will have been out of prison, which eventually that's what happened. But because the issue of presumption of innocence was very well accepted in practice, and we had a jury trial, so the government could not prove premeditation, which was the sole reason why they didn't get a murder conviction. Yes, witnesses and say, we see what happened. But how could the government prove premeditation? How could they prove that Mr. Kurubali planned all of this, and meant to do what he did? When the same witnesses on cross-examination, they admit, say, well, the crowbar was lying right there, so not to Kurubali to get the instrumentality that was used to kill the officer. He had not told anyone for Kamputande, he not anticipated that, so he could not have formed the motive of killing him. He was not even sure he could see this man again. It just so happened that way. Okay? So despite the fact that he killed this man in front of people, he was found guilty of manslaughter. And that was the outcome. As far as I know, Mr. Kurubali, by now, if he's still alive, he must be a very old man, but if I have to speculate, I'm sure he's dead now, naturally, because he was really eventually serving time in Padeba prison. He go back na Bamakonta and continue in diamond trade. Okay? So we get for respect law. So when we begin to see like how then they say, when you drape a reporter from parliament because he says something we a parliamentarian doesn't like, or when we see that kind of activities there, for those of us who have been around a little longer, we know what will happen in that situation here. So we are just concerned when we see Sierra Leone has become infamous for this drug trafficking. Not only that now, I mean, since the Guinea incident, we've seen situations, other instances where country has been implicated with respect to drug trafficking. So, if we care about our country, if we really want to stop activities, we will be able for be honest enough for say no government. Nobody, anybody will care about Sierra Leone. It should not matter what government is in power. It should not matter which government you support. It should not matter. No, the only thing will matter Now, whether a government for participate or be involved or for cover or intercept for a person way, knowingly they engage in drugs trafficking. You know? Now, so when people intend for ignore all of that, and then we see a situation where you get somebody, now we have become a protector of an international drug kingpin. And I watch the Attorney General in Sierra Leone, the AYB, they talk about that particular situation there. And even for convince any reasonable person for say, this man is not in Sierra Leone, because if he's not in Sierra Leone, what basis do you people have to even entertain a extradition request? And I can categorically say, did it. It's not there. But we can talk about the white man country. They're not going to make that demand there unless they get reasonable basis to believe that he's there. And then we see a situation where a reporter from this man in country was harassed. The equipment was seized. People are not stupid. People see these things. The only thing is the people are powerless. But that doesn't mean the people don't see these things. So why would government be so desperate as to protect a drug trafficker who does nothing good for society but for contaminate the spirit and the body of people? Okay, and then we see nothing wrong with that. And so there are so many things about the system we for really be concerned about. There is also another incident about very Sierra Leone again, where in Pakistan there is another report come up for say in Pakistan up to $10 million worth of tramadol was about to be shipped and was intercepted in Pakistan, but to be shipped to Sierra Leone. So what have we gotten ourselves into? So when we get them, we lead us out, and then they talk about the treaty, ECOWAS. Then they talk about revenue. It involves more than revenue. Okay, this is the Pakistan situation. Look at it I wonder when I watch the screen. I think it's more of a picture. I don't think we'll get a video. Look, attempt to smuggle drugs worth $999, almost $10 million to Sierra Leone, foiled in Pakistan. I mean, this doesn't look good for us. It makes life inconvenience for Sierra Leonean. So when you get any partner in the world now, if you get a Sierra Leonean passport, they're going to tell you, stand aside. They're going to search you, almost strip you. And you can't blame the countries then where they do that, because they get reason to believe that there is a likelihood you might be trafficking drugs. Okay? So these are some of the things then we will be concerned about. If we love our country, we shouldn't take issue with those of us who are saying for the same reason, for love. In fact, first of all, I'm not convinced that you can't say, it's like somebody will say, a love and wealth, but you beat her every day. Who's gonna love that one day? The woman go rather let you tell and say, I hate you, and give him peace. You can't say you love Sierra Leone. When I get all them phrases, I want to talk, Mama Salone, one country, one people. This is all ridiculous things then, because we actions not consistent with pronouncement them. What love are we showing for this country? One way I always putting the country in disrepute. Then when people then stop, you get certain people that will say, oh, I mean, you hate this government, you hate that government, which is nonsense. It's almost like telling me that if John Doe and picking the thief, na bad baba. But if my brother and picking the thief were to do the same thing, committing worse crime, oh, na good boy, because I'm a family. Okay? So we're not to condemn the actor of the person, even though the acts are similar. One is condemnable, the other one is not, depending on who the perpetrator of the crime or the act. Now, so would the judge thinks them. You know, a crime is not a crime unless we see who the person will commit any connection. You cannot run a country that way. You just cannot. Because if you want to run country on that basis, you're asking for trouble. You know? So these are some of the things then. So going back to what you would talk about, one of the things that we want to discuss today, now this issue of how safe is our border and why should we collaborate with each other. Well, let me bring one more thing to people's attention. In fact, in that respect about border security. And let me remind we callers them also. If you get any question, if you get any commentary I make, you are free, because the show will be out, will be over. It's not going to be too long before we reach the end. Okay, now I don't know how many of you know about a place called Yenga. Let me take a call, then I will continue. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where's the call from?
Yeah, Mr. Shillong, good evening. This is now for Mustafa to contribute.
Hello, Mr. Mustafa. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Thank you also for being there always, saving your time, because some people are not to understand the sacrifice they own they make for Sidonia and then platform there. Well, they talk about the justice or criminal justice system. Mm-hmm. As always, they say most of the things that will be happen, they tell them give you governance or self-governance. It been seem like see now abroad, you know, things can really happen. That time the political party they don't take over us. I mean they not take over it. I mean I don't know that time the manipulation of African leaders or power consolidation not been there top notch. So now you make it be see like when they talk about Koulibaly guy where they may get for try. Imagine today. Every day they give a case there where this guy Kamarimba gets problem with the government. What did they say? They say he do this to a minor. So him be asked, let him give him a jury trial. The lawyer ask. They say no, this is not judge alone. And today, this guy where they say he killed Sierra, that's Freetown City Council, even though they don't abolish the jury trial, but then see him say he forget a jury trial. So this is the level waiting and don't degenerate way. Clearly, you don't need for doubts. Then everybody knows that this is what is happening, but they're still going to do it. So now the level is where we don't reach up from self-governance. We don't want to do anything correct. Everything we government is doing, first of all, now them being notorious for breaking the law. Mm-hmm. And then they do things their way in broadly light. Everybody knows say this is bias, this is not for happening. And again, when you talk about the drug issue, just this evening, before you come on, before then it starts 7 o'clock, we watch AYV on Sunday. Then the government spokesman can defend. He said then and change the narrative of the discussion. Then talk they talk that man, they say no, you know, the answer, it disrupt the interview or the presentation. They accommodate. Things have to be just because they pay more, not just because for defending salary. It became disruptive. This is which side we don't take. So the level of justice is not going to improve tomorrow. Because why? power don't they in the hands of one man. I always talk they say the constitution, okay, get fine laws them, you get this, you get that. But as long as we put that man in front, nothing okay for him. Now look at the image of the country when they talk about drugs everywhere. Pakistan today, it don't come up from Guinea, Liberia, it don't come up from London, all sides. But they don't want tackle move. They don't arrest nobody. We then they point finger upon. But then one follow we all believe say they are doing something or they are investigating, which of course they will not do. Well, I just say give you preliminary comment. I will continue for listening, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa. I appreciate you calling.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You know, as Mr. Mustafa just said, because there are lots and lots of things. Of course, the system, we just can't wish the system to work efficiently. If we want the system to work efficiently, it takes the one that we're responsible for commit themselves into making things better for the country. But if we rule a country or if we run a country, any succeeding government get to do worse than the other government, it is just not too good because we not see progress. Because I would just take, for instance, even in life, we are where we did today because of technology, with the flying our planes, with the right ship, people and go cruise, people and they do a whole lot of things technology-wise, even the things that we take for granted, motor car, bicycle, motorbike. Now, because God make we human beings for be progressive, stagnation not a part of our destiny, retrogression not a part. God not put you on this earth so we'll go backwards. If we remember in the days of Christ, in the days of Prophet Muhammad, if we know, there were no motor cars, there were no automobiles. Bicycle every day, motorbike not be there. Now donkey and camels. In some instances, the horse, but mostly donkeys and camels. Now were the main means of transportation. If it is so fashionable and acceptable for do as with great grandparents and do as with grandparents and do, well, we should ignore modernization and just do things as they used to do. But can you imagine where mankind will have been in this day and age if we want to do what your great grandparents didn't do? Can we imagine if grandparents didn't get the ability for calm back to life? Can you imagine how disappointed they will be to say, well, I'll be down. You may, we don't go for 100, 200 years, things look worse than the day we did it. So we get to take their responsibility in serious. Let me just read a comment. I'm thrilled with the brilliant narration of the matter between the state versus Kurubale and the heroic legal representation of the famous barrister T.S. Johnson. Thanks, Mr. Shillon, for your delivery. I also have to thank Mr. Tyler because he's been one of our ardent listeners as well as contributors in terms of ideas, and in addition to the fact that Mr. Tyler, without a doubt, is an extremely well-informed individual. And this is something I've always asked for, because we become better. It reminded me a long time ago about Muhammad Ali. And so this is some basic concept we also for accept yesterday I had a lengthy discussion with a former roommate of mine who lives in Texas. Roommates Naya, we go college together. Who lives in Texas? Where in political views about the politics Naya have become so extreme, it's hard for me to believe, say, this is the man. And we're still good friends. Because I'm not forgetting to do with friendship. Okay? So, I tell them, I say, let we understand the rules of engagement now. We don't need for us to cool. You believe strenuously, and they argue strenuously about the group where you believe and what you need to do. Fine. In my line of work, I can always say reasonable men can differ. So let me understand what's in the basic rule of engagement. That I may not be able to convince you, you may not be able to convince me. But at the end of the day, if we keep the discussion, the exchange at a certain level, and we'll not call and say a plaba will be the make, we will get mutual respect for each other. And maybe one of these days, we go try for see things the way the other ones see them. So we agree on that, and we broke up on an amicable. We'll get a vigorous discussion. We are still very close friends. Nothing, not get one damp on the friendship. I like that. So Mr. Tyler is that kind of person, and because for me, that's what I respect. That's why I always say on this show, lawyers, politicians, you are welcome to come on our show. If you disagree with me, I want to learn from you guys. I can only share me individual, but we make progress in life when we could compare and contrast. No one single person knows it all. Okay? Let me just digress a little bit. Before I do that, let me just read something. My friend traveled from Sierra Leone recently. He was searched like a criminal at an airport in the US. Well, that's not surprising. That's expected. Because we've become infamous for that. So we'll travel, when they see the passport Sierra Leone, they're going to search us, So one thing we should learn from this, it's good for us. When somebody they try to give you something back home for bring, say, no, I can't do them. I cannot, because first of all, in the town at the airport, don't bring anything for anyone, because you're going to be held responsible for everything you bring if it turns out they want to search you. So it's not going to be any excuse that you're not able to explain why you're in possession of certain items. And you can't say someone gave it to me, because then they repeat them all the time. Don't take anything anyone gave you, And then another question is posed. May I ask to call and comment on an unscheduled topic that was featured on your program some time ago, the poor management of the Wakafine buses and the need for appointing permanent bus conductors? Yes, you may call, but to get a fully and hopefully satisfactory response to what your curiosity might be, I would suggest, because Mr. Mengot is not on the show today, who is the expert on the show and the topic also, he's going to be here next week. Having said that, you're still free to call. I may be able to have some answer for you, but I'm not sure if I will be able to fully satisfy you with respect to what you expect. So please feel free to call. Okay? So in anticipation of you calling, let me take some calls. Hello, caller. So we don't keep you on the line too long. Hello, caller. What's your name? Which side you call from?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Shilon. How are you today?
Fine,
This is
fine.
Salon first. How are you?
Fine, sir. I'm fine. I hope you are.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I did listen to your topic.
Yes, sir.
You discuss. There's a lot of things that I want to address.
Okay.
But first of all, before I come to the topic that you talk about, I want
not forgetting the 3 minutes you get to. So make sure you put them concisely.
So yesterday we were talking about the census. I know you're not discussing about the census, right?
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Are you familiar with the census much?
No, but I only know the Constitution called for census every 10 years. You talk about Sierra Leone, right?
What section is that says?
I don't have the section off the top of my head, but I know that every 10 years.
Okay, well, I want to give an assignment.
Maybe before I get up the air, control room. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Next week, I'll give an assignment. The three wise man there. I will ask the same question next week. Which sections say every 10 years? Because the Constitution only mentions census 3 or 4 times. And it never say 10 years. So because the reason why they say that, me and Mr. Cabo na economic man, me na lawyer. So the problem we get in a salon, when I first came to Australia 2002, I observed when I dey go to school. When a teacher say in a math teacher, you can't ask a science question. They tell you say no, go ask your science teacher. This is the problem we have in Sierra Leone. You cannot say you're an economic, then when a lawyer is speaking, you trying to undermine him. There's a lot of undermining going on. We have to work on those kind of things. So now for that, I say make it clarify, because I've skimmed look at it. The Constitution only talk about the census only 3 times or 4 times, and there was no mentions about the time limit, whether it's 10 years every year. But then I've quoted yesterday, because yesterday I called for Mr. Cabo Palava, but we'll talk fine, because I'll come out and say the Census Act 2002, Section 2 say the president can call for census when he feel like, time to time. So what's another section? Because we'll get bad habits in Sierra Leone, talking points. We go don't see say the Western country that they do census every 10 years. Then would they take and say now every 10 years? But does we Constitution say 10 years? So if we argue, say, well, the politicians that they abuse the Constitution, now would they go with the idea, say it should be 10 years? Now for that, I asked Mr. Cabo yesterday, tell me the same thing, he say you don't know the exact section. I don't ask you back, you say you don't know exactly the section. So we are now by principle, the reason why they bring this talk, we need for learn something and a lesson at the traffic for make it Sierra Leone and the say we cannot just go with talking points. And then for your main topic, you just tell a beautiful story about a man who in Papa be born na Gambia. Now the technicality I want to clarify as both lawyers. The issue was in Papa na Gambia. Then in the claims of women are Sierra Leone and women are Sierra Leonean. So as a future president, as a future leader and president of the country, law discussed this a bit. Do you agree that this man exactly is, if in Papa was a Gambia born outside, does that make him a Sierra Leonean?
Yeah, go ahead.
No. So the question, because the thing is, even in England today, even the royal family, when this was the biggest issues when the Queen, the late Queen of England, a man, not guy in last name. Even in England laws, if you're not a citizen of the country, you go meet someone UK or whatever, and then you said, well, the Peking, if he wants, the Peking can get a last name, but they're not recognized as natural citizen. It also apply for citizenship. If in Papa or in Papa not a citizen of the country, so we have to protect the country and say and look at it. Is this person in Papa? Is it a natural, a old Sierra Leone citizenship? So the story is beautiful, but Sierra Leonean, if he be claimed Sierra Leone citizenship, that's the question I want to know. Whether he had Sierra Leone citizenship since you claim said in Papa na Gambia, because we go with our father's identity. We don't go with the mother's identity. We claim the father's last name. So, I don't know if you go able to respond to that, or next week you go able to look into it and tell me whether in Papa na be natural born citizen and natural certified citizen of the country. Because then if it's not, then the law, we have to fix that technicality down there, because we cannot have someone, a Sierra Leonean, because now Salon passport is being abused. And they give we bad name na the country. Because there are people who they work with passport, and then they get into criminality, and then now we country and they get a bad name. So we have to protect the country by making it very specifically who is Sierra Leoneans. You cannot go around and foolish yourself, which is a lot is going on among us with Sierra Leone women them. Then come with single mothers from another nationality, they then come back to the community when they don't go make their mistakes. So we have to protect our country and make it very specific who can be Sierra Leone. You have to have Sierra Leone citizenship to be certified as a Sierra Leonean, or you have to be born there. And even that citizenship there, it have to be strong. It has to be not to fake. We cannot water it down. It has to be. You have to really put your. You really don't forget 110% interest of the country, not for just capu and take and run, or when it suits you, you say you're not Sierra Leonean. So even this video you just showed, these drugs, that's yesterday Mr. Cabo played. Did you know that the investigator, one of the comments he said the Sierra Leonean people then count drugs in our country. So they not see themselves as Sierra Leone, they see themselves as Liberian. You play the video again, you read the statement, our country, they brought these drugs in our country. So you not say Sierra Leone, we are all, because when they make this mistake, they bring this, we all remix, all mix with self.
No,
And this
okay.
is weakness, a sign of weakness. We have to protect who are real Sierra Leonean, who carry the blood of Sierra Leone. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for calling. Make just touch on one or two things where the caller just mentioned. The point of the story where we talk about Mr. Kurubale was the quality of lawyering, the quality of the enforcement of illegal practice, the recognition about the principle of the presumption of innocence, and the applicability of that practice, how high will be taken during with time. That's the issue here. So this was a murder case. This was not the side issue, or which was not a collateral issue at all, was whether Mr. Kurubale was a Sierra Leonean, but that was never at issue at all. The issue was the type of law we beget, the enforcement, and the way law was being practiced, and the quality of lawyers that we had, and the less undue influence of the legal system, on politics. That was the essence of that story they were telling. Not to whether Mr. Kurubale or in Papa, whether it was true or not. I don't know. That was not the point of it. So I don't know how we're able to determine if Mr. Kurubale and Papa are Gambian or not. But the story is that Mr. Kurubale said he wanted to know why he was being deported to a country he did not know, and he doesn't believe he was a citizen of. That was the only issue on that. with respect to the other issue about drug trafficking, well, see, we in our information we put out there. We try to make the information as credible as we can get it. Everybody's entitled to his own opinion. I mean, you want for be what you would call well informed when you make a decision. Nobody wants anyone for agree or disagree. The Liberians. So if Sierra Leone is mentioned that the vehicle that the Liberian intercept, the vehicle came from Sierra Leone. No one should take offense to, unless you dispute the fact that the vehicle didn't come from Sierra Leone. It shouldn't matter how many times they mention we name Sierra Leone. We should not see in America. There's a thing we call one time too many. There are certain things in life that should not even happen once. When it happened, that single occurrence is too much. It's too many. Drug trafficking is one of those. So we don't have to be technical about whether they say Sierra Leone, they not say Sierra Leonean, unless there is a factual basis to dispute the narrative, which is the vehicle came from Sierra Leone and was intercepted in this county in Liberia, and the person and the driver said that Sierra Leone come out with the drugs. Unless there's a dispute. So we don't need to get to any other technical issue here, but I don't want us to get into any other thing other than the fact that my main topic, or my main point I was making on the Kurubali issue was the quality of lawyering, the quality of legal system, the quality of law enforcement we had, and the fact that someone can commit a crime, presumably in the presence in broad daylight, and was still presumed, because the issue was presumption of innocence, and was still presumed to be innocent and had a fair trial, and had a good quality lawyer had put that principle there, that theory there, the theory of presumption of innocence, to the test. And the principle withstood the test. That despite this man killed someone in the presence of people, he was charged with murder. The system was fair enough. The quality of the judicial system was such that he was given a fair trial. That's the point. So that's credit to the country. Okay? And if we uphold them principle in there, we'll get something to be proud of. If we undermine them in there, then we are chipping away, little by little, these great principles, then the which people in left give way, we will not try for fix, we will try for destroy. Okay? So now me answer that, Andy. So let me take one or two other calls. Hello, caller. What's your name? Who's the call from?
Hello.
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 Yes. Do I have your permission to talk?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Atotailu, and I'm very grateful that Mr. Shillon has gracefully accepted my request to bring a matter that is unscheduled. And so I will be brief, but I will make very clear my view and opinion on a thing which hello?
Yes, we're listening. You're coming across loud and clear.
Okay, that's great. Okay, I will carry on. It is about this Wakafine bus that has been introduced, which is itself a very good thing, and is a novel introduction of busing in the country, born out of the frustration with previous practice where the government was directly involved in the running of the buses, and the whole thing was a big disaster. However, the current management of the buses, of the Wakafine bus, could also come to that end if it is not properly managed. Mr. Shillon, that our streets in Freetown are narrow, overcrowded, and our users are in the main not very knowledgeable about traffic matters. passengers just cross randomly, and the other users are also very far from satisfactory. So it is absolutely essential that the bus driver is not encumbered with any other duty. He should be left to focus completely on his driving. However, the practice at the moment of not having an overall conductor who really oversees everything within the bus is causing the drivers to get involved in the sitting of the passengers or the standing of the passenger. And sometimes you can see the driver and the passengers getting into heated arguments, which detracts from his principal duty, that is the driver's principal duty of conducting or running the bus very safely. And I can tell you from anecdotal evidence that there has been a huge turnover of drivers. I use the Waka Fine bus almost on a daily basis when I'm commuting from my base in Kalbatang, which is one of the terminal end, and the city. I have even used the other wing of the trip, which is to Lumley. And the observation is that there is a huge misuse of the bus because there is no central control. I believe that the bus itself was constructed to have a conductor at the exit, that is the exit door, because just next to the exit door, there is a pole with a buzzer that communicates with the driver, which presumes that there should be somebody who should be stationed there that will oversee the sitting or standing of the passengers and their use of the things on the buses. Like the buses have been equipped with a charging point. But I can tell you, at the moment, 80% of all these charging points are not working at all. Because it is not out of malicious damage to them, but just ignorance about plugging properly. You know, somebody takes a cable and he wants to plug inside, but you know, there is a particular way in which you have to plug in. If you do not do it, it will not enter. And when somebody doesn't know how to do it, he will continue forcing until he damages. And this has resulted into the damage to about 90% of all this place. And again, because of the mismanagement of the passengers themselves, the handrests that are attached to the system, almost all of them have disappeared.
Wow.
The what do I call it? The fire extinguishers that are installed have also been carted away because nobody oversees. The driver is there and the bus and the ticket seller. The ticket sellers, especially when the program, when the bus running started, there were no resident ticket sellers. They will sell the bus outside the bus or at the entrance, and then so the passengers were on their own. Nobody conducted them. This one continues even up till now. Onto the front, onto the grass, the front grass of the bus. The driver is unable to see the passengers that are living at the exit door. And sometimes along the way, some rascals enter the bus without having any ticket, because the tickets are sold at the entrance. That has happened many times. So I believe in our situation, unlike perhaps advanced systems like the United States or Britain or Europe or such developed areas, we actually need well-trained, very capable installed conductors that will make sure that the buses are used properly and that the driver is not distracted from the driving, especially considering the perilous routes that we have in Freetown. So I will plead that the corporation very kindly consider having resident conductors. That will prolong the life of the buses and the installations, and again, it will help the convenience of the passenger. I rest my case, Mr. Ishilo. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Tailu. I'm in total agreement with you on most, if not all, of the issues you just raised and the observations. Let me just say, I will hope the same question will be asked of us next week when Mr. Mengot will be here, who is better or more qualified to respond to some of the issues. But let me just give some common sense response to what you just mentioned. And I agree with you that the driver who bears the primary responsibility of driving everyone in safety should not be given collateral responsibilities in conducting fares, tickets, or loading and unloading the bus. All of those, I agree with you. I think he should stay focused on the road. And you have a point. The point simply, in my view, is this is what is wrong with how we implement things we've learned abroad. We learn things here, we go back home, trying to implement things as they're implemented abroad. It's just like teaching a child how to walk. Well, a child begins to crawl, then learns how to stand up by himself or herself, then take a few steps and get better at it time and time, and then begins to learn how to run, because it just can't run right away, and then try to understand how to manage running and have to know how to control his or her speed. And then that child reaches a certain age where you buy tricycle or bicycle for the child to learn how to ride a bicycle and all that stuff. There are stages in the development of life. What we do, we don't try to implement things the way suitable for our people back home. We just want to learn these things, go back home and implement them. The bus system, as you're complaining, you're so right. The system in some of these so-called developed countries, these people have reached all those stages I just named, in the sense that, like a child, learn how to walk, crawl, and all this kind of thing. So they don't need to be taught. They know that there is some civic responsibility attached to the riding of public transit system in the country. We have not reached that level. So when we buy buses for the convenience of our people, for the comfort of our people, we must start by doing what you just suggested. First and foremost, let the driver focus on the road. Have a conductor. If you have an exit door at the back of the door, it's true that someone must or should monitor it, because we're not at that level yet where people can conduct themselves in a more responsible way in exiting. There will always be culprits who will try to enter that bus from the exit point, so they wouldn't have to pay anything. That's something we should have anticipated. That's something we should have guarded against, and that's something we should do if we want to make the system work efficiently. Again, so implementation is an issue, and sometimes we lack our common sense. We just want to come and bring things over and start to implement it exactly as it's implemented abroad. It's not going to work because we have to take our people through the stages. So all what you're saying is true. We need a conductor on the bus, maybe more than one conductor, but at least one. That way, that conductor being at the exit point will be able to see things. The driver, whose primary responsibility is to focus on the road and to drive everybody in safety, will have to be faced with those responsibilities. So you're right. And that's, to me, it's a good suggestion. Mr. Mangot is supposed to be an advisor to the authorities that conduct these buses. It would be good to let him know. I'll tell him what you just mentioned. I think those are good observations. I think they're also good suggestions. And I think if we can implement things based upon the fact that our people are not at that level yet, and that's where we want them to get. But until then, we have to do it the way you suggested. Just like a child learning to walk. A child learning to walk doesn't just get up and start running because that child will fall. So you're talking about people stealing equipment, snatching things, doing this. You see, all of that will be stopped if we use our own common sense and check. You see, what you learn abroad is just a general concept. You can't do one size fits all. So you don't take what you've learned abroad and just go back home and implement it the way it's done here. It's not going to work because people are going to have to be taught some civic responsibility, which we are not yet good at. So I agree with you, but Mr. Mangot, I think this is just my personal view as yours. So Mr. Mangot will be here next week. Please, the issue will come up again. And if we fail to bring it up, if you're listening to us, call and raise it again. So I know he's better suited to give you to get the point that you're trying to make to the authorities in charge. I think he's in that position where he can, and I'll have that discussion with him before the weekend comes up next time around. So thank you for calling in that respect. I may want to take one more call. Oh, Mr. Tyler also has a comment that he has posted on the screen. Drug trafficking and the notoriety of Sierra Leone will always happen in countries where poverty is endemic and corruption is systemic. Poor Sierra Leone is going through very despicable times. That may be so, but that's why we have to vent the type of leadership we get. The conduction of population census in any country is governed by international standard guided by UNFPA, not a constitutional prescription. Well, okay, we'll take that. Amazing platform. Thank you for the compliment. We appreciate that. I really like your accurate lamenting ability. I'll take that. Thanks. So, may I take a call? Hello, caller. Are you guys still? We can take one more call. Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Hello. Shalom. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Abdul. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. I just want make a submission on this topic that we don't discuss so far, especially on the drug issue and the Yenga issue. On the drug issue,
in fact, the Yenga issue, we're not even elaborate on it, but yeah.
Yeah, the drug issue, I believe, saying that the political will, in government in, government out. we lack in Sierra Leone. If you realize, even in countries where there are laws for combat drug smuggling, then still they find it difficult for nab drug smugglers. Yet alone Sierra Leone, the political will not they treat the issue with levity, and they always give lip service. And my own concern and me worry now that let Sierra Leone not be tagged as a narco trafficking state, where it go affect we all as Sierra Leoneans. That if Sierra Leonean want travel, go to any other country, then go do extra search. Just like if you mention one country, if you mention one or two countries in the Caribbean, so now you come out, you go on holiday, you come out there. Then they give extra scrutiny search for you because they are always suspecting, say, if you go to that particular country, then you are coming with drugs into the Western countries. So now that characterization, we only afraid for say we know what level country get, but we only go able for do that when the government, because it is apprehending or disheartening that government officials, security forces, they are involved or they are colluding with these so-called smugglers. That is the most disheartening aspect of this, because the ordinary person, you not gonna know what's in the happen, but the government don't put measures them in place and make sure that them back up with the political will, and we see them be proactive in combating it. Believe you me, because I know say even if you have the most draconian laws, we are in the countries that we go say they apprehend you with drugs, now death penalty. They see people, but people are still making the attempts to do it. You see, so now we don't just concern that the political will, the government put measures in place where you government officials who are caught, security police who are caught, you take drastic measures against them. If they only do that, then perhaps we will begin to see results. But anything short of that, I'm afraid, I don't think say we serious as a country and themselves as a government for fight this drug menace. Then on the younger issue, I don't talk in some on a previous program that I not see the Guinean authorities, they're ready for relinquish Yenga. And Sierra Leone, the government, past government from late President Kaba to President Koma and now President Bio, they are saying it that we are having discussions with the Guinean authorities. We are trying to see where we patch up our differences or whether we will resolve them. But people are concerned about the way they are being treated at that territory. And when I'm sure it's map one thing where they show say then they claim say they don't get them, I think in the early 1900s or so. When actually after the Berlin conference, everybody may don't know in territory, the big powers, the British, the French, the Germans, the Belgian, they all we don't know the territories them after that Berlin conference, 1884, 1885. So if Unatona don't go claim territory again, then when the French who are the colonial master for Guinea and the British who are the colonial master for Sierra Leone, them already don't demarcate that territory.
Correct.
So you see, so like me always don't say, they are friends. Guinea and Sierra Leone, we are friends. We are culturally, by blood relations, we are friends. But if we see that they're intransigent, let them take the matter go to International Court of Arbitration. Cameroon and Nigeria, they do the same thing for
precisely.
for the territory. Then go there, now the International Court of Arbitration, and then go say no. The Bakassi Peninsula, it belongs to Cameroon, it not belongs to Nigeria. Nigeria fed, but they're not able to win the thing. Finally, they're able to give up the territory. You see, because a territorial dispute they always can day. But when I can go to the authorities, when I don't try to settle and diplomatically, work, when I go to the International Court of Arbitration, let them go arbitrate on them. Let them go know who that actually gets them. When I also present on a colonial map, and the colonial masters are associated them able to call them for as a party to the conflict. The British, them call the British, them call the French. Let them all present the colonial maps. Then they will see who side the demarcation we did between Sierra Leone and Guinea. You see, territorial disputes they're always there. I remember the Auzu split between Chad and Libya. That's what they said with the first threat until they're able to resolve that. We see how the Polisario and Morocco defend for the Western Sahara. So, but always say if we're not able to settle them through the diplomatic channel, when are the first option, at least we don't start them from the late 90s when we don't start for do that. So let them able to settle them diplomatically. With 3 presidents now, it is still not resolved. And the people are bearing the brunt there. They are being extorted, they are being exploited, they are being dehumanized. So we feel for them. Now we young people, any inch of territory where another neighbor can infringe on, we go feel them as we brothers and sisters in the case that are younger. So it is high time if Sierra Leone not explore all the diplomatic options. Let we go to the International Court of Arbitration. Let them go over the matter and see who that get right. Now we get right or na Guinea get right. If the International Court of Arbitration says na Guinea then territory, then we will talk to people. Let people in Canada. We will not say they will come now the Sierra Leonean side. The demarcation only. If the International Court of Arbitration says na Guinea then territory, likewise they will do the same thing. But this rigmarole, this tug of war, no, then go this minister will come. The minister of Foreign Affairs will come appease. We say yes, we don't lay, we don't see. Then go put a baking day. But we don't approach the Guinean authorities. But now so the thing they prolong until people are fed up with that, and especially the people who are living there, they are suffering, and we want this thing to come to an end. I just say for now, make this small contribution. I'll stop so far. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdul. I think that's an excellent contribution and point in the way you make. Indeed, I think we may take one more call, but let me just respond to Mr. Abdul Naya. The suggestion we make makes so much sense. So I don't seem to understand what the difficulty has been for 3 governments to be able to solve. We get ECOWAS. Okay. Once upon a time, we even get Mano River Union. Okay. Now, to me, understanding, Yenga is on the Sierra Leonean side of the river. Of the Sierra Leonean side of the river, there's a river under the line of demarcation. And this Yenga township, now we on side. I do not understand what the difficulty is and what the basis of the claim by Guinea is. Okay? But like you say, if Guinea become recalcitrant and then stubborn, and not for peacefully give up the place, that's why we have ECOWAS. Like you cite certain countries, Nigeria and I think Togo. So there are examples in Africa where countries have fought or have had disagreement over a certain piece of land, and they've been resolved. And the Sierra Leone case seemed to be even easier. And like you say, the colonial masters, the French and the British, who were the colonial people, they know, they understand, they know what's happening. So they will be able to tell you now, and they will be able to tell us, because then get the map, now the Home Office in England, in Paris, then get the land, then can easily solve them for we. So I do not understand They are the colonial masters are the ones that will set them up. They know where the boundaries lie. So I think people are just being cruel to where other people in power. They have not been helpful in trying to help. They have not been as helpful as they should be in trying for. This is the thing that bothers me sometimes. We don't get feelings for people. Because if we get feelings, we should feel it like Abdul, the talk. You can see the anger. You can see the anger. You can see the anger where you for try even Abdul the talk about. This is not a solvable issue. This is an issue that is solvable. So to me, they're not enough for take this much, but we'll forget making a priority. 3 governments, at least 3 of the government, they've not even been touching this issue. It's just terrible. I think it's disgraceful. So, but the solution, the colonial masters, they get the map, they get the accuracy, and they make the demarcations. They know it can be solved. So with that said, thank you very much for Abdul. Let me take one more call, and that will be the close of the day. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you call from? Hello, caller. Well, we are at the end of the show for today. Great appreciation for the listeners, and we call for make some points, because some of them point there watching we hear it today now things then we all they relate to or they keep up with. So and as always, we'll get what you call the ardent listeners them and participants, because in fact you people are not only we listeners them, we are contributors now, and we welcome more ideas. We're not going for agree with your ideas, but this is a good forum for put your ideas. If we don't get the answer, we could try to get them. And then if somebody else hear you disagree with you, you go call this time or next time for voicing disagreement. So thank you very much all for listening. This is the month of Ramadan. Would really try to keep things in line. Usually we would have been. This show should have ended about 40 minutes ago, but we'll try to be as flexible and tolerant of our listeners and then get a point across. So to everyone who's been listening, I greatly appreciate your participation. I look forward to listening to you next week. So have a good night. And that's it for this evening. Thanks. Bye-bye.